Hello, and welcome to another episode of Around the Verse. I'm Sandy Gardner.
And I'm Josh Herman.
This week, we'll check back in on player habs, get a first look at new moons, as well as updates on props and ships, but not before checking in with the Star Citizen community.
On September 22nd, there's a community-driven gathering in Mulheim, Germany called Con 42. If you're in the area, you'll definitely want to check it out.
Yes, you will. It's always great to see fans put on their own gatherings, from impromptu bar citizens to larger conventions like Con 42.
Meanwhile, the Daymar Rally folks are back at it again. The filthiest racers in the verse put together a Grey Cat social event over the weekend. Players were transported to an undisclosed location on the moon where they were engaged in a multi-lap time trial, all in Grey Cat buggies.
Very cool, and they got some really impressive shots there. Now let's march into the development updates, beginning with the modular and lighting teams who are currently working together on player habs.
We've already seen the design progression of player habs, and these earliest forms of in-game housing continue to be built out and improved. The developers are currently taking a lighting pass. So here's the lead lighting artist, Chris Campbell, to walk us through that process.
So the last couple of weeks I've been working on the Lorville habs units, the lobby and the habs themselves, where the player has their personal items and a bed to sleep in. And so the first step in the lobby is we usually get a piece of concept art from the art director or the concept artist, which show kind of the basic mood of the environment and some color tones and stuff like that. So the first thing I do is I block in the main kind of key lights, so we know immediately that the player can go up these stairs. And then once we have that, then we have the habs units themselves need to be the kind of primary focus, and then everything else is kind of detail lighting to support that. So we have like these alcove off to the side areas which don't serve any gameplay purpose, but it adds a bit of flavor and a bit of contrast in colors, so that it's not just the same shades of yellow and orange throughout the entire environment. So once we have that blocked in, the next steps that I have is to, apart from lighting the interiors of the habs themselves, is I'm also adding kind of lighting variations within each layout. So, players might have a choice of what kind of style of lighting they want in their habs.
That looks very cool, Chris. As a character designer, Josh, what is your relationship to lighting?
In characters, lighting is a little different. Characters are going to traverse through different types of environments. In an environment like a hab, you're able to set like a specific mood or tone, so each player can have their own different style, right? But for characters, it's a bit more unique because they're going to walk through each one of those environments. So it's more about describing the form of the character than it is creating the mood.
All right. Here we see conceptual renderings of Lyria and Walla, two of ArcCorp's moons. It's interesting to see the earliest stages of visual development as the artists and devs dig into content that will come online further down the road.
The artists have to think about all the visual subtleties that give each moon a distinct look and feel. Walla is a simple barren moon with outcrops of geode-like minerals. Lyria's surface consists of dirty ice, scarred by deep crevices, and dotted with cryovolcanoes that create a constant, cold, but humid atmosphere on the moon.
While we're on the topic of concept art, a few weeks ago we showed you early renderings of the new lockers. They'll be used in missions, both new and existing, as an alternate means for players to pick up and drop off items.
Let's let props artist Joel Phelps and mission designer Daniel Reynolds shed some light on the design process and their in-game functionality.
Recently I've been working on the drop-off lockers. These are for collecting and delivering cargo in the game. Early on we were working on the dimensions of the whole prop, and we found that the size of the screen next to the cargo hatch made it a really wide prop, and this didn't really work with the original concept. So we sort of reevaluated. We decided that the screen didn't need to be this big, so we scaled it down and ended up with something that suited the concept a lot better. Yeah, so one of the things I did was design the door. We decided to go for a shutter door rather than a swing open hatch that you can see here. And this is so that when the player's interacting with the prop, the door doesn't swing open and collide with them. It's all self-contained this way. So we're pretty much finished with this now. It's just up to the missions team to take it on and implement it into the game.
So with the addition of the delivery lockers, it's added an extra element to the delivery missions. Alongside the admin desks and the outpost shelves, the player may now get asked to pick up or drop off a mission item at one of these delivery lockers. When the player goes to interact with these lockers, it'll first check to see if you have a delivery record. If the player doesn't have a delivery mission or they go to the wrong locker, it will deny them access to the locker and return back to the start screen. If they do have a mission and they are at the right locker, it will check and then succeed, at which point it will open the shutter up and either display the item to pick up or ask the player to drop the item off at the shelf. We use Subsumption to create the mission module, which controls which locker gets selected and also controls the mission broker record to detect when an item's been attached or detached from these lockers. So they're currently for 3.3. There's still some work to be done for the UI, and it's currently going through testing at the moment.
Sticking with props, the team is finishing the final hangar assets, which are being placed in the environments by the design team.
They've also made progress on their major location signage for Lorville, which will add movement and context to the city's transit areas.
A few weeks ago, we saw the motion warping tech being developed and refined for both Squadron 42 and the PU. That's the system that adapts character animations to allow for realistic traversal of obstacles. Let's go to Mike Meaden for a look at what the new toolset has to offer and how it will factor into the design of both games.
Recently, the Active Feature team's been working on motion warping. We've been working on this for a little while, but now we're actually working on the workflow and the tools that we use to implement this in games. What you're going to see here is an asset that we've put together for vaulting without any motion warp points. So this is how it looks, kind of as just one asset without anything put on it. What we need to do is actually put these warp points onto the animation to tell the game where to transform this asset. So you'll see here Miko, the gameplay coder who's actually creating the system and these tools for us. And you can see here he's about to demonstrate how you add those warp points directly within Maya. These are plugins and things that he's actually built for us. So you can see him adding each of these points. What these do is tell us specifically at what point you warp, and it also gives us that data to read once we go in game. You do this the once in Maya in the animation, and then once you have all those points set up, we can actually export that asset out, and it will keep those points. Once we have those warp points, we can actually export that animation into the game. As soon as we're in game, you'll see that now the engine will actually read those warp points and translate that onto the animation so it can adapt into various situations. Once we're there, we can actually continue to visualize scenarios that maybe we haven't encountered in the levels, and we can use the tools that we have at our disposal to just, drag those same points that we created in Maya around, just kind of the limitations of those assets. The benefit of doing this is that it allows our developers to iterate much quicker and easier. It's definitely a massive quality of life improvement, especially when it's using technologies like motion warping, which aren't always the best, the easiest thing to visualize how it's going to work. Especially, it's the kind of technology, the idea is that it's adaptable to a large variety of situations. This way we can do it really quickly.
Fun! Who doesn't like quality of life improvements? Finally, let's take a look at some recent work from the ship teams. The Hammerhead is nearing the end of its final art phase, with lighting states recently completed for all areas of the ship.
The Banu Defender has been completely blocked out in white box, and the interior has entered the gray box phase, with designers working to establish the Banu's distinct architectural and design styles.
Looking good. Remember, CitizenCon tickets are back on sale. Head over to the website to grab yours and check out all the details, including the presentation schedule. And if you can't make it to Austin to join in the fun firsthand, you'll be able to stream all of the day's presentations live.
That just about does it for this week. Don't forget to tune into Reverse the Verse live from the UK tomorrow on Twitch, where Jared will chat with some of the folks working on object container streaming. We want to thank all our subscribers who sponsor the shows.
Yes, we do. And thanks, of course, to each and every backer for doing what you do. Until next time, we will see you around the verse.
Thanks for watching. For the latest and greatest in Star Citizen and Squadron 42, you can subscribe to our channel, or you can check out some of the other shows, and you can also head to our website at www.robertsspaceindustries.com. Thank you very much for watching.